Hello everyone, welcome to the Player Ratings Show. I'm Chris Pajak. Liverpool have just been beaten by 3-1 by Leicester City. You can get your vote in for Alisson. The poll is now open. So to get involved, all you do is type !vote, put a space and then a number out of 10 and press that enter key into the chat. Your vote will be registered and tallied up with the votes of every other Liverpool fan watching this who has voted as well, and a final number will be selected for that. As I mentioned, the Alisson poll is already open, so get voting now. There's about 30 seconds left, give or take, of that one. Alisson Becker for me today. Looks like he's lacking a little bit of confidence, to be honest with you. A couple of decent saves and stuff like that, but the big mix-up with Kabak is probably the one thing that we're going to be talking about over and over, because Jurgen Klopp's just done his post-match press conference and he's basically said that he didn't hear a shout from Alisson. Now, if that is the case, then, if he didn't shout it, then we can't put too much blame into Kabak there for me. We're just reopening the poll now for Alisson. We've restarted that, so please, if you voted, try and vote again for me. There was a problem with it first time around, so I'm not sure exactly what that one was. But as mentioned, listen, I don't know whether he makes that shout for Kabak or he doesn't make that shout for Kabak, but regardless, Jurgen said he didn't hear it, and there was a mix-up there. The free kick, what are we to make of that one? Well, I mean, it goes past him, but he's kind of stood almost frozen because he doesn't know whether, there's going to be a touch on it. He's got to make a dive or whatever. As it happens, there was no touch. The ball goes straight in from the free kick, and it is what it is. So I can't see anything on this, Tom, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to go and give Alisson Becker a 5 out of 10. Apologies, we're having some issues on that one. If he doesn't make a shout, then I think we know we're going to have to change that slightly. But I think 5 is probably a fair reflection. We've got the vote open for Trent, and that is now working. So if you want to vote for Trent Alexander-Arnold, the words underneath me. So to do it, you type !vote, then put a space, then a number out of 10, and then press that enter key into the chat. I can see loads of votes already flying in. So it's working finally, thank you. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, I mean, first of all, it was an unbelievable ball to Mane early on in the game. I think, he was better on the whole. He was striding forwards with the ball and stuff like that. I don't think defensively you could say any of those goals were particularly his fault, although you might question his position on the third, but because Salah gives the ball away, blah, blah, blah. Hits the bar with a free kick that goes off one of the defenders in the wall as well. Obviously does really well in the build-up to Liverpool's goal. So yeah, I mean, all told, I don't think it was a terrible performance from him. I'm seeing 1s and 3s coming in, and I disagree with that, to be honest with you. I think he's round about a 6 or a 7 out of 10 even, and and that's not rating it on the fact that Liverpool scored. I'm rating it on his performance personally, and I can see now that it's at exactly 6 just about wins from 7. So I think he's done really well there. I think we agree on that one. It was a 6 or a 7. You guys are giving him a 6, so we'll go with that. The new boy Kabak is the next one that we're going to open the poll up for. I'm going to temper this slightly by, if he doesn't get a shout, then he has to try and deal with it. If he does get a shout, then it's poor defending from him. Other than that, I remember talking with Paul during the game, and a few people asking us, how's Kabak doing, the lads and the girls who weren't actually watching it. And for the most part, you couldn't tell there was a new centre-half in there. Then you can tell when they obviously score that one with Jamie Vardy in the mix-up between Kabak and Alisson. Somebody's just got to take control of that. But actually, apart from that, his all-round play was okay. Maybe he could have done a little bit better in the third again, but Salah gives the ball away, and then everybody's kind of out of position. I think Trent's sort of getting forwards at that point, thinking that Liverpool are going to attack. I think Thiago sort of is getting forwards, and we just leave Kabak and Henderson massively exposed against Harvey Barnes at that time, and he's able to slot that one away. But for me, I'd say it was probably like a 5 or a 6 out of 10, something like that. And as the vote closes, we're just about giving him a 6 out of 10. And I suppose we are basing that on the fact that Alisson maybe didn't give him a shout. If Alisson does give him a shout, then that's just a really poor mix-up, and I think he probably deserves more of a 5 out of 10. Anyway, the poll is open now for Jordan Henderson, who I thought was decent again. None of the goals are really his fault. I think there was times when it was 0-0 where Henderson was driving forward, trying to get this team motored. And, first half, certainly, a lot of these long balls over to Mane and to Salah were really starting to come off and stuff like that. And you can see what he can bring to us from the centre-back positioning. But ultimately, Liverpool go and concede 3 goals. And, for me, I'd say Hendo was around about a 6 or a 7 out of 10. And I can see now that the votes are coming in. And actually, 7 is winning out at the moment. And again, it was a new partnership. Obviously, he's playing with a new lad. He probably wasn't even supposed to be playing this game. I'd have guessed that Fabinho was going to be playing at centre-half. So he's had to slot in. And maybe in training this week, they've had a week, haven't they, to prepare. So I don't know when that Fabinho thing would have happened. But the potential is the first part of the week he's thinking he's going to be playing in the midfield. So on a short week of training, he's then probably had to make some adjustments to his game, go and train with Kabak a little bit and try and do things. And I think for the most part, the two of them did all right there. And he does get a 7 out of 10. I'd have gone 6-7 as well. So we agree that one. Robertson's very interesting as well in that, I thought first half him and Mane were doing really well down that left-hand side. He was providing that cutting edge from there that we love to see from Andy Robertson. He looked like he was playing with a little bit more energy, I suppose the right word would be in this game. Having had that week off, he's played a lot of football in quick succession for a long time now. Andy Robertson, he was just starting to tire a little bit, started the season like a house on fire for us, tired a little bit when the team's not doing so well and he's not able to have Kostas Tsimikas come in and spell him for any length of time. Obviously had a few minutes off when the game was done against Manchester City. Comes in, puts in a good performance there for me. I noticed Robbie Savage talking on the BT Sport saying that, him and Robertson can't defend him one-on-one, him and Trent Alexander-Arnold can't defend on one-on-one situations. I think you can label that at Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I'm not going to argue too much with you, but I do think Robertson's really good at tackling. I do think he's really good at protecting that back stick at times. He's really good at defending the front stick as well, from crosses, from corners and all that type of stuff. And I don't think there was anything wrong with his performance there, and he does get a 6 out of 10. So we're going to open up the poll next for Georginio Wijnaldum, and another one of those games really where, a lot of what Gini does is, when you notice him, is he's shielding the ball and he's moving around in circles trying to find the pass. And there was a lot of that from Georginio Wijnaldum today, but, moving the ball forward, transitioning, not enough. And, maybe first half I noticed him more than I did second half. I'm not sure he was really in the game second half in quite the same way as he was first half. But Liverpool, for 75 minutes, that was a good performance. What happens after that? We just capitulate, and I mentioned it during commentary, and I'm sure we're going to do, Paul's going to be doing the instant match reaction soon, and we're going to talk about, the fact that Liverpool right now are built on a house of cards, and once we concede that first goal, the confidence is absolutely shot. Anyway, it is what it is. There'll be plenty of time for those types of discussion, but everybody's head just seemed to be dropping as soon as we concede a goal, that's it. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to pick ourselves back up, and that mentality monsters, is what we used to talk about last season. That's what we were talking about every single week, and that part of our game has completely and utterly disappeared at the moment. We just look mentally fragile to me. Anyway, Georginio Wijnaldum gets a 5 out of 10. I'd give him a 6 personally, but yeah, 5 out of 10, okay. I think that's fair. Kurt Jones is the next one that we're going to open it up for, and I think first half, I thought him and Thiago, for the most part, from the first half, obviously Milner goes off injured, and we'll talk about him. Well, we won't talk about him, actually. We'll bring Thiago in, and we'll do him a little bit later, because I've got an order that I'll write all this down in during the game. But Kurt Jones, him and Thiago were sort of doing this together, and I thought it was quite nice, actually, and we were trying to get overlaps on whichever side of the pitch we were playing down, and Kurt Jones was all right. Second half, he started it really brightly as well. He started to get into some dangerous positions on the edge of the area. A couple of times maybe he'd want him to shoot and stuff like that, but he plays Andy Robertson in or whatever. And then, again, much like the rest of the side, when we can see it, you just, yeah, it is what it is. But no, I think Kurt Jones put in an okay performance for me. It's between, probably, I had him down as a straight 6, to be honest with you, and I can see right now, with just a few seconds left of the vote, that 5s, 6s and 7s seem to be where we're looking at for Kurt Jones. Yeah, and it looks like right now, with about, yeah, the vote is done, he gets a 6 out of 10, which I think I had that down as well, a 6 out of 10. I'm going to open the vote up next for Mo Salah anyway. Obviously, it's a great goal, first and foremost, from Mo, and the finish is absolutely unbelievable from him. And, we'll talk about this when we get to talk about Bobby Firmino, but that was an instinctive finish where he doesn't have to think about it, and he just plays the ball into the far corner. There's absolutely nothing that Schmeichel can do there. But that was brilliant. But what we saw first half was the other side of Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, where he thinks about things and overthinks things and can't quite get the ball out from his feet. He has that one where it looks like he's trying to play a pass to somebody who's not there, and he ends up gets in behind. I think it was from a ball by Henderson, and he just sort of right foot passes it out of play, and you're like, fucking hell, what's going on there. You have that other one with Mo where he's being dangerous and he's in the penalty area and there's a question of whether it's a penalty or not. I mean, he literally takes on his man and then he's whipped and there's no penalty, and I don't understand how they're not even looking at that type of thing. And yeah, it's frustrating because Mo is still there, he's still trying, he's still scoring the goals, but as a unit, we're not looking quite right there. And he's standing out because he's still bagging those goals, but he does get a 7 out of 10, and I think that's fair for Mo as well. Sadio Mane, will open up the poll for him on the other side of things. Now, I thought first half, certainly, it was a better performance from Sadio Mane than what we've seen in the last few weeks and stuff like that, really. And, you know, he looked like he had that energy level. He was taking on his man, he was hitting the byline, standing balls up, weren't quite getting on the end of it and stuff like that, but he was a constant thorn in Leicester's side. And second half, we didn't really see that from Sadio Mane. I don't know whether that was a little bit of tiredness creeping in or whether they changed something slightly. But we didn't really have the same sort of, he didn't really have the same sort of impact, I suppose, in the second half that he was having in the first. And yeah, I mean, for me, he definitely was playing like a 7 out of 10 first half and probably a 6 out of 10 second half, and I'd imagine 6 will probably win out. And I can see now loads of votes for 4s, 5s, 6s and 7s, the occasional 8 and a random 10. How many 10s? 3 votes for 10 out of 10 for Sadio Mane. I mean, we're nowhere near that, are we? And as the vote finishes, he gets a 6 out of 10. Very fair again. Well done, everybody. We'll open the vote up next then for Roberto Firmino. I mean, first of all, I know I'm angry, I know I'm fuming at the result and, you know, the form that Liverpool have been in and stuff like that at the moment, but I can still appreciate beauty, and that assist was fucking beautiful, wasn't it? I mean, the skill to control the ball first and foremost, and then to do that, which is what he did. Oh, it was absolute filth, and he just puts it on a platter for Mo Salah. Absolutely outstanding assist, and he should have probably broken the deadlock in the first half as well. You think about that one save from Kasper Schmeichel where he does his stupid little Schmeichel star jump that his fucking dad taught him when he was a child. That star jump has been pissing me off. I said it to Paul before, for the best part of 30 years from that family, and god damn it, I hate it. But the save is top draw. I mean, he should have scored it. He does everything right. He hits the target, and Schmeichel just somehow gets his hand up to it. And yeah, so for me, I'd have probably given Bobby Firmino a 7 out of 10 just because of the assist, but I can see that he actually gets a 6 out of 10. So we'll go back into the midfield and we'll talk a little bit about Thiago next. And I think this one's a really interesting one for me because there was good and bad in Thiago's game there. So a lot of negative comments while we were doing the watch-along video about how he's slowing the game down and he's not good enough for the Premier League and he's been found out. And I don't buy into it. Like, what I will say, though, where I am in slight agreement, is he gave the ball away too often for me today. There was too many times where he had the ball and he was tackled by Ndidi or Pereira or insert Leicester player here, and a couple of lax passes and stuff like that. It's very noticeable when it's him because we're looking for something great out of him. But equally, you know, there's that fine line between, you know, genius and madness, I suppose. Sometimes those things are going to come off, and at the moment, the way that the team is in, the way that the form of the entire team is, it's just not kind of working for him. Like, no long term right now concerns for me over his form. I can still see that he's an unbelievable player, but today wasn't his best performance for Liverpool, and I personally would have had him at about, I don't know, something like between a 5 and a 6 personally, and I can see that it's been a straight draw with 4 and 5, so we'll knock that into a 4.5. I think that's a touch harsh personally, but I can understand that people are starting to get annoyed with him because of the results that we're having when he's playing. So next one then. Yeah, we've done James Milner. Not gonna give him a mark. In fact, we're not going to do anybody else. We're just going to go straight, and I'll just talk a little bit about Oxlade-Chamberlain, I suppose. It's not working when he's coming on the pitch at the moment, is it? He's just not involved in the game, and I personally think he probably put in a bit of a 5 performance. Shaqiri probably didn't have enough time to absolutely do anything, and I'm going to leave James Milner without something there, to be honest with you. But on the Oxlade-Chamberlain one, he was on the pitch for a few minutes, and you know, it was probably 10 minutes he'd been on the pitch, and it was just madness, wasn't it? The way that we capitulated, you know, the way that we conceded those 3 goals. I'm not saying it's Oxlade-Chamberlain's fault, far from it, in fact, but he didn't do anything really to positively impact the game for me, which is why I've given him a 5 out of 10 anyway. But yeah, I suppose that is the player ratings. We've got the instant match reaction that we're doing as well. If you are a YouTube member at Wonder Kid or Cult Hero levels, then you will get the final word this evening as well, because we'll be doing that. That'll be Paul, that'll be me, that'll be Ross, and that'll be Ben Kelly on that one. So you can look forward to that. I can promise you this. It will make you feel better. It's always a cathartic experience when we do these final words and stuff like that. It promises to be a good show, regardless of the outcome, because we'll all talk about it. We'll chew the fat of this game, and we'll see where we lay afterwards. It will mean that I'll be able to lay this game to rest, hopefully for the rest of the weekend, and not just stew and wallow in self-pity after Liverpool's breakdown towards the end of the game against Leicester. That is the player rating. Stick around for the instant match reaction, though. That'll be very soon. You'll be ported over there from the chat if you stay in there, straight to the instant match reaction. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time. Ta-ra.
Thank you so much for watching the Redmen TV YouTube channel. Everything we do here is funded by our wonderful subscribers to the redmentv.com. Get over there, sign up and get amazing additional content, interviews, documentaries, mini-series, and of course additional pre and post match day content.